West Virginia just showed Deion Sanders what hard-edge Mountaineer football is all about. You're not better than us. I don't care what you say.
This is the Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball. From pregame to postgame coverage and breaking news, we've got you covered. Let's go.
All right, welcome in, everybody, to this episode of Mountaineer Moment, episode number 80. And the Mountaineers are fresh off of a victory against Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes, 29-22. I don't know if that's scoregami or what, but 29-22, the final in this one. West Virginia now improves to 4-6 and 2-5 in Big 12 conference play. And we're going to have you covered here on this immediate reaction post-game to this Mountaineer win over Colorado going final. Again, 29-22. This is Mountaineer Moment, your source for all things West Virginia football and basketball here. And again, another exciting win back-to-back for the first time this season. West Virginia goes, and it feels good over the last couple weeks. So this episode, we're going to give you a reaction, some of the things that surprised us, some of the things that were expected and that came to fruition in this one, and then just a little breakdown of the box score as well, and we'll get you out of here. But Mountaineer Moment, again, available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching, wherever you are tuned in. Hit that subscribe button for us, toss a like, leave a comment, drop a rating, help me help you, and we'll keep you in the know on all things going on in West Virginia football and basketball. You can follow us on X at EarMoment, EERMOMENT, EarMoment. Starting to get a little more active on X, at least at the very least. We'll let you know when new episodes are releasing. So West Virginia in the battle of freshman quarterbacks. Julian Lewis, obviously getting his first start for Colorado, has played a little bit this season, and we'll talk about him in just a moment. But Scotty Fox Jr., of course, on the other side, getting another start for the Mountaineers, who might just be the quarterback of the future. Not his best performance against Colorado this afternoon, but obviously did enough to get the job done. Again, a quick look at the box score. West Virginia ran it 53 times. They didn't quite run it how you might have thought they would. Just 3.2 of carry, 167 yards on the ground, but again, it was enough. Colorado, however, we knew that they had struggled tremendously running the football this season, and they did that again in a 38-carry, 51-yard performance. Just struggled, and a lot of that's due to sacks and TFLs, obviously. Julian Lewis got sacked a ton. 7 sacks in this one for the Mountaineers. Just incredible. Dior Hubbard had a big wheel route catch for 69 yards. He went down on the first shot. Looked like a bad injury. He came back in and had 6 catches, too. It wasn't just the one for 69. He had 6 catches to lead West Virginia. Dior Hubbard had 16 carries again for 64 yards, so another back-to-back solid performance for him. Scotty Fox on the ground, 17 times did he tote the ball for 58 yards. And then it was Curtis Jones Jr., that's right, the defensive player for West Virginia, who'd been rumored to maybe see some action in the backfield, and he did in the red zone in goal-to-go situations, and he got 2 touchdowns out of it, 3 carries for 2 touchdowns. That second touchdown, man, he just muscled his way. It was a 4th and goal, and it looked like he was going to be stopped for sure, but he just willed his way into the end zone to pick up another score for the Mountaineers. So again, 29-22, the final. Lots to be talked about, lots to be discussed here. That West Virginia 10-play scoring drive that was made up of all rushes in that fourth quarter that really, essentially put the game away, with that score, was phenomenal. 57 yards, 10 carries, just ran it down their throat and punched it in the end zone to put this game away. That was massive. Scotty Fox on the day, mentioned his running numbers, but through the air, 202 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 picks, actually on back-to-back throws. I guess, both of them being in that third quarter. Neither one a good pass. One, just coming across his body, and then one with pressure on his face, just, I guess, didn't get enough on it and just threw a duck that got picked off. Again, back-to-back throws. Kind of reminded you of the Pitt game when he did that, when he came off the bench. to provide a spark, and he did for a little bit, and then he threw 2 picks, but he did that again this afternoon, but then he got his confidence back, and again, led his team to another score and a 7-point victory overall, did Scotty Fox. Again, 17 of 28, 202, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 58 yards rushing on 17 carries. That was the most we've seen him used in the running game. We've seen a little bit more week by week. Was used very sparingly against TCU when he threw for 300 yards, and then was used a little bit more against Houston. Obviously, that big touchdown run on 4th down from like 34 yards out, that was big in that win. And 58 yards again today with a long of 14, but got it done pretty consistently. I had quite a few, I don't know how many, but a few first down pickups for Scotty Fox on the ground. Okay, 53 carries, 167 for the Mountaineers. Dior Hubbard again leading the way in the receptions department with 6 for 94. All right, so that's the initial reaction. Feels good to win. Feels good to go back-to-back. Feels good to send Deion packing out of Morgantown, who apparently made a comment at halftime that West Virginia's not better than us. We should win this game, that kind of thing. And, well, we'll see you later, Deion. Thanks for coming. But some of the things that were to be expected, I'll start with just kind of the obvious. It was a close game. Mountaineers obviously got up a little bit. Obviously, though, weren't able to put it away like in blowout fashion. This was a game till the end, 7-point victory. Colorado obviously went with the onside late, had to, and weren't able to recover. West Virginia did, and the rest is history. But it was a close game, and West Virginia prevailed. That was good to see. Second thing that we expected was for Zach Alley to dial up the blitz on the freshman quarterback, and a Colorado offense that has just been really, really struggling to protect the passer. They were down a couple offensive linemen even in this game, and it showed. I think they had like 10 sacks given up the last couple weeks, lots of TFLs and all of that fun stuff. But West Virginia blitzed the heck out of them, and it worked a lot. 15 TFLs, 15 tackles for loss for West Virginia to go along with those 7 sacks, which are a season high. I'm assuming the 15 TFLs is a season high too for the Mountaineers. Ben Bogle had a good day, 2 of each, 2 sacks, 2 TFLs for him. But that was to be expected. Maybe not those exact results, but the fact that you were going to dial up the blitz and make it rough on Julian Lewis, and you did just that. Took a beating back there. Secondary, to be expected. West Virginia struggled in the secondary. I think it was to be expected. And this will lead into that next point that I'm going to make about Juju Lewis and the game that he had, but there were wide open receivers a few times in this one for Colorado that just left you scratching your head. And so if it wasn't for that pressure, it wasn't for dialing up the blitz and getting to the quarterback as much as you did, man, if you didn't do that and Juju Lewis had time, then he was going to continue to find receivers. I think he was, because he did. And he found open receivers time and time again, dropped a few in the bucket that were beautiful throws. So the secondary issues for West Virginia continue not to haunt them, right, because you won the game, but continue to be a notable struggle point for this defense. It was also to be expected that Colorado couldn't run the football. You just knew that. They haven't had a 100-yard rusher all season, in a single game, and didn't have anybody close in this one. Miller, 10 carries, 42 yards. Hayden, 10 carries, 32 yards, including 1 for 24. So other than that, didn't do anything. They just couldn't run the ball. And West Virginia was stout in the run game, but that was, again, something you expected, something that we've seen Colorado unable to do at any point this season, so why stop now? So defensively for West Virginia, you knew they were going to dial up the blitz. They did, and it worked. You knew their secondary has had some issues, and Colorado's got some guys that can make some plays out there, and they did. And then you knew that you were going to be able to stop the run. We expected them to be able to stop the run, and they did just that against Julian Lewis and company, which will take us into that last part of this episode. The things that surprised me here, and not that I do this a ton, but I think we got to give a little shout out, a little credit where credit's due. Juju Lewis, man, again, considering 7 sacks, considering his team got tackled for loss 15 times, this kid hung in there, freshman, first start, it's on the road, across the country, in Morgantown, on a Saturday afternoon, in front of a West Virginia team, against a West Virginia team that's coming off a win for the first time in a long time, feeling confident, feeling good. And he took a beating, got hit a lot, And he stuck in there and played pretty well, man. Again, if he didn't get the pressure that he faced, this could have been a really long day for West Virginia. 22 of 35 for Lewis, 299 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, nothing on the ground for him because of that swarming, defense. But, man, Lewis was putting some passes on the money. He impressed me. That kid's got game. For his first career start as a freshman, highly recruited, we know that, and I see why. He played well. He did his part, we'll say that. And he's got a bright future ahead. I fully believe that. So shout out to Julian Lewis because he just flat out looked good. All things considered, what his team was up against in this one. And that comes in the surprise me section. That's not a slight to him, but it's just something I didn't know. And again, if you give me those numbers that the West Virginia defense had as far as sacks and TFLs and pass breakups and all sorts of things that they did well, box score wise, you wouldn't think that Julian Lewis had the day that he had. And he had a pretty solid day. Pretty good performance from him. Again, a surprise to me was this West Virginia running game. I thought we tried. We certainly tried to run the ball a lot, over 50 carries, which we expected. But it was a surprise that they were, in a lot of ways, ineffective. Now, that was tremendously redeemed by that 10-play drive made up of all runs. Like, that's a huge thing. But you take that drive aside, and this team didn't do a whole lot on the ground. That drive was 57 yards, and you had 167 yards total on the ground. So just over 100 on the drives except for that one. So a little surprised. I thought you'd be able to run it a little more effectively and efficiently. I thought you could be well over 200 against a Colorado defense that struggles mightily against the run, by far the worst in the Big 12, and the third most yards given up per game on the ground is Colorado, and we were under that mark today. A little surprising there. I will say I was surprised. Curtis Jones, we mentioned him a minute ago, was surprised by him getting in the backfield, and that, again, man, that second touchdown run, if you didn't see it, I think it was the second. Pretty sure it was the second. Both of them were great runs. But there was the one on 4th down. He was stopped. And I'm convinced any other back, maybe not Ty Edwards, but any other healthy back that we have on this team isn't getting in the end zone on that handoff. But a defensive player for us, West Virginia, Curtis Jones Jr., who played running back in high school, incredible talent, incredible athlete, he got in the end zone. He willed his way in, and it was reviewed, upheld, kept his knee off the ground. It was, whew, man, it was nice. It was nice. And so I think, just based on small sample size, what he did, there's reason to believe we'll see more of him throughout this season, and hopefully beyond that too. So, a couple more things here that surprised me, and these ones don't necessarily fit fully on into that category of a surprise, but we saw a different version of Scotty Fox in this one, in the sense that we haven't seen him turn the ball over since that Pitt game. Since he's become the starter, he's been clean. And he had a couple, they were freshman-looking passes thrown across your body as that ball was going through the air. As he was looking, I was like, he's about to throw across his body. Like, literally, it felt like, for me, I don't know if you were watching and feeling the same way I was, but as I was seeing him read the defense, it was a 4th down. So, like, what are you going to do? Throw it away? Like, I get that. And actually, they had worse field position. Colorado did, because there was not a return than they would have if he just, broke up the pass. But anyway, you're watching that play progress, at least I was, and it was moving in slow motion for me. I was like, he's about to throw across his body. This might not go well, and it didn't go well. They're right into a defender's arms, and yeah. Comes right out, next one, gets blitzed, gets hurried, rushes, forces a throw. I don't know if there was a miscommunication. I think it was intended for Weimer deep, and it just didn't get there. It was picked off well before it got there, or someone else on just a miscommunication. Because Fox looked a little confused after that one. I'll have to go watch that one. It looked more to hit on his face said it wasn't just an errant throw. There was an error in someone on that offense. Could be wrong, but he just threw that thing up and got it picked. Not good. Now again, is that a surprise? Oh, a freshman quarterback threw a couple picks? No, but it's just different. That's a new thing that we've seen since Scotty became a starter. We also had a fumble from Bowers in that first half when we were approaching the red zone, if not around the 20. And that'll take us into this last point. It's surprising. Now, again, this is Colorado we're playing, not a good team. They fall to 3-7 and 1-6 in conference. So it's not like it's surprising that you do it against them, but it's just based on the season that the Mountaineers have had. And again, outside of the last 2 weeks where they've been wins, it just feels a little weird to win a game that you made mistakes in. Lots of mistakes. That you had 3 turnovers. You had more turnovers than you picked up, collected on defense. You didn't run the ball particularly well, aside from one drive, which was phenomenal. Your leading receiver was a running back in catches and yards. Quarterback threw 2 picks. It feels weird to be sitting here, because West Virginia played better against Houston, and they won. And then you play worse, you make mistakes. You give up wide open passes throughout the game, and yet we're sitting here talking about a win, and that just feels weird because you 3 weeks ago, coming after primarily coming after that UCF game where you got flat out embarrassed down in Orlando, you fix things up against TCU a little bit, lose by 1 possession, feels a little better. You come back, you beat Houston, now you beat Colorado, but a few weeks ago you lose to UCF. You're the lowest of the low. I think Rich Wright even said it, post game. You got to go up from here. Something like that. And if you would have told me, hey, in a few weeks, you're going to have a few turnovers, you're going to give up some big plays, you're going to struggle to run the ball for a lot of the game, and you're going to be able to win, I wouldn't have believed you. So it just feels weird. Again, it's because it's against Colorado, right? You go and have this game in a couple weeks against Texas Tech, and you play at this level, you're going to get ran out of your own stadium by halftime. Because this wasn't a pretty win. There were some good positives, yes, absolutely. But to sum it up in one sentence, with the way that you played, you won this game because you were playing Colorado. And that's how I feel. I'm not disappointed, per se. I'm not happy they won. Feels good to win. You ain't winning that game against Texas Tech or the majority of the Big 12. You won this game because it was against Colorado, and they are not good. But we'll end on a positive, man. It's I'm sure we'll talk about it this coming week, man. 4-6. It feels like a crazier turnaround than just a couple wins. And now, Arizona State, Texas Tech, 2 more games. You continue the streak. You go bowling, right? This is nuts. You got Arizona State on the road next weekend, and then a really, really good Texas Tech team after that. We'll get there when we get there. But wow. We shall see. We shall see. Anyway, we'll get there when we get there. We'll talk about the potential of a Mountaineer team bowling, which is nuts. I'm sure we'll address that this week. But this is episode number 80 on the Mountaineer Moment. And I want to invite you to subscribe, like, comment, leave a rating, and join the Mountaineer Moment movement. Follow us on X, Ear Moment, EER Moment, and we'll see you next time.